there's a hardcore group that we've talked about before, Neil, and if they're not in juvenile justice, they're offending, and it's just their way of life now, it seems.
So they're back out there?
Yeah, back out. We chase them around. They commit offences on a nightly basis till we can catch up with them. When we get hold of them, they're back in juvenile justice until the next time they're out. And I don't know that we're ever going to change some of their behaviours. There's a lot of people working on trying to change their behaviours, but it just seems to be a constant problem. My concern's for that broader group that can attach themselves to those hardcore groups. They're the ones we need to try to make sure we can turn around as quickly as possible and get them on the right path.
But you're saying there's a hardcore there that just can't be. There's no answer. They're just going to be crooks. They're
just continuing to offend. In the last few years, particularly, we've seen plenty of evidence of that. If you look at the recidivism of those young people, and they're not talking about a lot of people here. It's a relatively small group.
How many?
Well, it's a group of several hundred. But if they're not in custody, they are offending, and the police members around the state will tell you that.
Don't they care if they get caught and go back into custody?
Well, it doesn't appear as though they do. And, some of the behaviours that the poor corrections people have to put up with in some of these centres is, is pretty serious. When you talk to the corrections officers, they'll tell you that some of the behaviours are worse than the adult prisoners that they
What about adult jail for these people? How old are they?
Well, again, you're talking about people under 18, and when they're 18, they go into the adult system. But
how young does this core group go, though? Does it go to the 14-year-olds?
Well, you've been seeing this week offences where we've had offenders as young as 13, 14 joining in with this behaviour, and we've been hit with it quite hard the last couple of months, and they're about to head into another fortnight of school holidays as well, so we've certainly been ramping up efforts.
But surely this hardcore group you're talking about, they're not going to school, are they?
No, that hardcore group not going to school, really, no. But
it's these hangers-on that could be influenced.
Yeah, that's the group that concerns me, because these are young people who are easy to influence. They need to be turned around and worked with, which we've been doing, and DHHS have been doing. A lot of volunteer agencies are working very hard on this. A lot of people work hard on this, and I've seen plenty of signs of success too. But it's a risk. It's a risk in terms of young people getting sucked into that vortex, which we need to be aware of.
Do we? Well, if they keep getting, they offend, they get caught, they get put into juvie, they come out, they offend, they get. How many times can you do that before somebody says, "Hang on, you're locked up for quite some time"?
Well, it happens, I guess, over time, because the offending gets more serious and repeat, and eventually, the amount of time they're spending inside grows commensurate with that, until eventually they're in the adult system and they spend their lives in custody, after they eventually commit, more serious offences as an adult.
But you're talking about a core problem there that we've got for years, because if they're not going to reform, we're stuck with them as adults.
Yeah, there's certainly a core group who we just don't see their offending turning around.
Any ethnic groups particularly?
It's across the board. It's across the board, yeah. It's not really any one ethnic group. It's
because we hear about the disaffected, particularly African groups and others.
Well, I think part of the issue we're dealing with in the African community is just that they can't get access to jobs, and their unemployment rate is enormous. When you look at those opportunities that they're not getting, and it's a bit of a self-perpetuating thing where they can't get the opportunities for employment. And when you get a small group in that community that cause a lot of problems, it creates a bigger problem for that broader African community, the vast majority of whom are very hard-working and decent people who have their name besmirched by the activities of a small group.